Hey everyone, welcome to another video. This is the latest addition to the fleet. It's an Injora rock buggy. Little cage buggy, 10th scale, very cheap. Yeah, let's see what it's like. We just opened up the box. Pretty nice, cage chassis. It's got all aluminium internal spring shocks, although for some reason there doesn't seem to be a lot of travel on them. I'll have to investigate that. Obviously that should go all the way in. For some reason it's stuck there. So need to have a look at that. It comes with as a roller. So we've got a servo to fit on the front here. It comes with all the links. The servo mount that it comes with is this all plastic one, and it's not particularly strong. So I bought this one instead. All aluminium construction, and it's got the mounting points here, so it'll actually bolt onto the back of the diff case. Hopefully that'll keep the servo nice and stiff. I bought it without wheels because I'm planning on putting some nice big 2.2 wheels and tyres on, but they haven't arrived yet. Again, it comes with the plastic hexes, plastic wheel hexes, which is just so awful. I can't stand plastic hexes, so again, found a set of alloy ones. We'll stick these on instead of the plastic ones because they're rubbish. I'm going to go fairly cheapish with the setup. I've got a 1080 ESC laying around from an old build, so that's going to go in here. Nice metal links, metal drive shafts. Does come with a motor pre-installed. I'm not sure what motor that is. So the axle articulation doesn't seem that good, and I think that's something to do with the fact that there's a limit on these shocks not going all the way in. It just seemed odd to me. It seemed like they should go all the way. I'm going to whip these apart and take a look and find out what's going on with them in just a minute. Those are all plastic. Gearbox pumpkins are all plastic. So yeah, let's give it a go. Let's see how it gets on. So you have to take the diff screws out to mount the new servo mount, and there was no grease in there, surprise surprise, so we packed her full of marine grease. I'm not entirely sure what this motor is that's in here. It's a 540 size brushed motor. I'm not sure what turn count it is. Judging by the speed, I'd guess it's around a 20 turn. So there's not that much real estate inside here for mounting your electronics. And there's not really a whole lot of other options for places to put stuff. So I figured I'd have a go at possibly mounting it to the underside of the battery tray. Battery tray is really easy to take out. Take the screw out of there and out of there on both sides. They're silver screws, and the battery tray comes right out. The thing I did find was that there's a little captive nut in the back of each of these screws, and they tend to fall out when you take it out. It just makes it really hard to get back in again. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put down properly on these. So this is the battery strap that comes with the car. Comes with two of them. This is the original one. And as you can see, there's virtually, they're very, very short. I'm not sure what kind of battery they expect you to get under there. They're a bit rubbish. I had these RC4 drive ones, considerably bigger. I think they're going to be more suitable for the application that I want. Now with the battery tray out as well, it looks a bit small. So I thought I'd measure up some batteries. This is the fluorine one that I use in my TRX4 most of the time. Fits perfectly in that battery tray. But unfortunately, with that end lined up, you can see it sticks out quite a bit. Might still fit in the car. Just poking out the back slightly. But yeah, not exactly an ideal fit. I think this battery tray has been designed for the sort of standard sort of 2S packs that you run. This is a 5700 Zippy, and it's pretty much exactly the length of that battery. I wonder if it would fit in that battery strap. No, it's a simple answer to that one. I know, those straps are rubbish. But yeah, the 2S pack does fit in there. The other packs I've had, it would take a smaller pack, obviously. It's like a 2200 3S. Loads of room for that. I think the winner for this car is going to be this Energy Graphene. This is a 3S 5.0. And again, this one lengthwise fits perfectly, and obviously with my new battery straps we've got a perfect fit as well. I think that's going to be the winner, and what a result. It's got nice and green to match my green body. So I'm thinking the underside of this battery tray is probably my best bet for mounting my ESC and my receiver. Unfortunately, again, because it's so thin, such a thin piece of plastic, I'm not going to be able to screw anything to this. It's just going to have to be double-sided tape. So we're going to go for that and see how we get on. So this was my first attempt. I stuck the ESC and the receiver there onto the bottom of the tray and the on-off switch. Cable tied it all up nicely. Thought, yep, that's going to be fantastic. And then when I tried to fit it back in the car, the ESC was hitting the motor. And I think the gearbox slightly as well. So we turn them around onto the side, and like that they fit just right. So we took the shock apart to have a little look-see, see what we could find. It's got a spring internally, which is nice and soft. You know, seems pretty good for a crawling spring. A lot of these shocks seem to come with really stiff springs, which are no use for crawling. Might have been nice to have some other options of spring, but it only comes with the one. The shaft moves up and down in the seals quite nicely. It clearly does have an oil seal there because there's some resistance when you move it up and down. There's an O-ring on the bottom of those threads to seal your oil inside, as well as an O-ring obviously inside on the shaft. But kind of a weird piston. I've never seen a piston like that before. It's got no holes in it for a start. Yeah, normally they have. The actual body of the shock did have oil in it, but only a couple of drops. Bit strange, really. I'm not sure if it's just literally a couple of drops to to lubricate all the seals and stuff, or whether it had oil in it and it's now all leaked out during shipping. You know, I'm not really sure. I think it just must have had a couple of drops in there just to lubricate stuff, and then obviously you add your own oil if you want it. I'm not sure how effective the oil will be. It'd have to be something pretty thick, because that piston is actually a much smaller diameter. We looked at why it was bottoming out there. Look, so that's as far as that piston can travel up the shock body, even though it should be able to travel all the way to there. You know, just the shock rods are actually just really long, or the body's short, whichever way you want to see it. And like I said, there's a fair bit of clearance around the top of that piston, so obviously instead of having holes, it just pushes the oil past the sides of the piston, I guess. So you can see there I've screwed the new servo mount on. You just take those 4 screws that hold the front diff cover on. They come out, and you just put the screws, well, you can put the same screws back in, but I thought they were a little bit short. I started looking around for some slightly longer screws, and it turns out the kit actually comes with some slightly longer screws that fit in there perfectly. So I used those, and you can see that there's now a gap between the top of the diff case there and the servo of about, I don't know, 7-8 mil, something like that. The original one sat straight on top of the diff case, which was causing me a problem because the servo horn was actually hitting on that bottom link right there. So with this new servo mount, it raises it up just enough that you get clearance. And now those 2 arms sit perfectly parallel, which is nice. It also turned out to be quite handy that it came with the extra steering link arm there, the top one. This is the original one that came with the kit, and it had these kind of bent ends on it. I guess the arm was supposed to sit at an angle originally. But with the 2 arms parallel like this, they actually bind up. It was binding up on that end, and then when the other end was attached to the servo, that end was binding up as well. So this other link that it came with the flat ends actually works out perfectly. The bent ends are no good, so that was a rather pleasant little surprise that fitted so well. And it really does fit in there absolutely perfectly with that kind of standard length servo horn that you get with stuff. So this part is now no longer required, and it may well be used on another build. Gone with the 35 kg servo. I've got a shock off at the moment because still good doing that. Wiring runs through to the back. And then we have the speed controller and the receiver in there, and the wire's just tied up for the time being. I also greased the rear case while I was there because there was no grease in it. These are not the wheels that I'm going to be using on it. They're adequate for the time being, but I've got some 2.2s coming. So these were the first set of tyres we tried on this thing. These are 2.2s, and they're 150 mil diameter. They're huge. Right, should we have are you going to follow me, or shall I follow you?
Follow me.
You want me to follow you? Are you going backwards? You'll go slow to get up the curb, slow. Oh my gosh. So it drove fine with these big tyres on. It was actually really good for climbing and stuff. It would get over all the obstacles. Turns out the axle articulation isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be with those weird short rod ends. You know, can easily climb up a large curb there with enough suspension travel to get up and over the obstacle.
It'll go pretty much.
So I decided to leave these shocks on for the time being, but they probably will get changed out later. Ready? You going to follow me? Yeah. Okay, first of all we'll go up the curb. Alright. There you go. Can you get up the curb? Yes. And we've got to go up the slope. Yes. And down here. And across this stone. Hey, you cheated. So on this initial run, the car done pretty well. Drove quite well. It was quite fast, slightly more like a rock bouncer than a full-on rock crawler. Obviously, you could change the motor out for a higher turn one to change that. But yeah, generally it performed well until I'm not sure how it happened exactly, but as my daughter was driving it at the time, but shortly after this little test run of 5-10 minutes, we went into 3-wheel drive. And it turned out it was the drive shaft here. The end of the drive shaft snapped off right at the universal joint. And that was the end of that.
So back to 3-wheel drive yet again, but let's see if we can make it up this ascent.
Now I changed out that
And
drive shaft for a new
3-wheel
one. And we went out to try some crawling on some of these steep slopes here. And this exact same drive shaft snapped immediately as soon as we got here. Which sucked.
Really easy 4-wheel drive right now. Oh, we've done it. We've done the ascent in 3-wheel drive. These tyres are not the grippiest in the world, but they're not terrible. Mostly more of a mud tyre, really. Barky stuff. Not that great.
So after 2 drive shaft failures in as many days, I think I was slightly concerned about these huge wheels on full lock and on full suspension compression. They were actually hitting the shock absorber. So I thought perhaps that was one of the issues that was causing my drive shaft breakages. So I'll have to swap out those wheels for something else very soon.
Let's see how that compares to the TRX4. Try the same line to start with. Obviously this one does have 4-wheel drive, so I'm assuming this is going to be able to make it okay. Yeah, it's not really much challenge here at all. So the TRX4 does on this barky gravel stuff. This is new, and it is difficult to climb. But with 4-wheel drive, it is doable, obviously.
So in an effort to stop breaking drive shafts, the yellow wheels on the left with the big 130mm tyres have come off. The silver wheels with the 110mm tyres are a little bit on the small side. So we've gone somewhere in the middle, the green wheels with the 120mm tyres.
Okay, here we go. Oh no, I fell over straight away. Oh, this bit's tricky. Oh, it's these tyres, man. These tyres are no good. Oh my gosh. Alright. Trying to get it straight up here. Ah. Yes, I've got to keep going until I get it right. This is a tricky one. Oh my gosh. This is not going that well. Just cannot seem to get this bit. Alright, I'm going to admit defeat on this one. I'm going to put it up on the top of the rock.
So the tyres that were on these green wheels are a sort of cheap off-brand Chinese tyre.
That was unlucky.
And they were just really struggling for grip on these rocks.
Oh, that was close. Oh, mine's close as well. Oh, done it. This one is probably the hardest one. Oh, I fell over. Wait for me. I cheated slightly. Hey.
I'm stuck. I was gonna
Go fast, go fast.
go fast.
Okay, I'm going to overtake you.
No. Okay, now you're stuck, huh?
I lowered the suspension last night, which was a mistake for this.
Now you're stuck on me. Huh?
So I found that this car is actually very easy to roll if you're on a flat, grippy ground. So in an effort to stop it rolling over, I actually moved the shocks to a higher hole on the shock towers, which obviously was a mistake because then we almost, as soon as I did that, we came to the rocks here, and I really could have used that extra ground clearance.
Yeah, I think you gotta go around that one. See, I got no bumpers on mine, so look, I can actually get the first bit of it, and then I ain't got enough ground clearance, so I can bounce it up.
So for its first outing as a full-on rock crawler, I was actually a little bit disappointed. Just as a comparison, here's my Bully 2 doing the same rocks. Again, still get it wrong occasionally, but for the most part this thing just flies over the rocks. I think the cage buggy still has some potential. Obviously it's going to need a little bit of tuning to get it really good on the rocks. Some better tyres, possibly better shocks, and just better setup shocks, and it should be good.